Imagine a crime so baffling, so devoid of answers, that even decades later, seasoned detectives wake up in a cold sweat. What if I told you there are American murder cases where the killer walks free? The motive remains a mystery, and the victims' families still live without closure. Today, we delve into the chilling stories of unsolved American murders that continue to haunt those who desperately seek the truth. One of the most infamous and enduring mysteries is the case of the Black Dahlia. Her real name was Elizabeth Short, a 22-year-old aspiring actress. In January 1947, her body was discovered in a vacant lot in Los Angeles, severed in half and grotesquely mutilated. The press dubbed her the Black Dahlia, and the case became a media sensation. The investigation was massive. Hundreds of police officers and FBI agents worked the case, interviewing thousands of people. Over 60 individuals confessed to the crime, all of whom were dismissed as false confessors seeking attention. Suspects ranged from doctors to small-time crooks to Hollywood figures, yet no one was ever charged. The killer had left no fingerprints, no murder weapon, and no solid leads. The brutality of the crime, combined with the victim's Hollywood aspirations, created a dark legend that has captivated and horrified people for over 75 years. Who killed Elizabeth Short? Was it a jealous lover, a spurned acquaintance, or a complete stranger with a sadistic mind? To this day, the Black Dahlia case remains one of Los Angeles' oldest and most notorious unsolved murders. The files are still open, but the trail is colder than ever. From the glitz and glamour of Hollywood, we travel to the quiet, suburban streets of Boulder, Colorado. On December 26, 1996, the world was shocked by the murder of 6-year-old JonBenet Ramsey. The child beauty queen was found in the basement of her family's home, hours after her mother reported her missing and finding a lengthy ransom note. The note, bizarrely written on a notepad from inside the house, demanded a very specific amount of money, $118,000, almost the exact amount of her father's recent work bonus. The crime scene was immediately compromised, with friends and family allowed in and out, potentially destroying crucial evidence. Suspicion initially fell on JonBenet's parents, John and Patsy Ramsey, and even her 9-year-old brother, Burke. The media frenzy was relentless, painting a picture of a dysfunctional family hiding a dark secret. The family maintained their innocence, suggesting an intruder was responsible. Theories have swirled for decades. Was it a botched kidnapping, an accidental death covered up by a staged crime scene? Or was an unknown predator lurking in the peaceful neighborhood? Despite DNA evidence found on JonBenet's clothing that didn't match any family members, the case has never been solved. Years of investigation, public scrutiny, and countless theories have brought no justice for the little girl whose life was cut tragically short. Now, let's turn our attention to one of America's most elusive serial killers. A figure who terrorized Northern California in the late 1960s and early 1970s. The Zodiac Killer. This killer is known for at least 5 murders, though he claimed to have killed as many as 37 people. What set the Zodiac apart was his taunting communication with the media and police. He sent a series of cryptic letters and ciphers to newspapers in the San Francisco Bay Area. In these letters, he took credit for the murders, revealed details only the killer could know, and threatened more violence if his letters weren't published. His most famous cipher, the 408 symbol cipher, was cracked by a schoolteacher and his wife shortly after it was published. It revealed a chilling message about collecting slaves for the afterlife. Another, the 340 remained unsolved for over 51 years until a team of private citizens finally cracked it in 2020. The message, however, offered no clues to his identity. The Zodiac targeted young couples in secluded areas, attacking them with both a gun and a knife. His last confirmed murder was in 1969. But he continued to send letters until 1974, before suddenly falling silent. Countless suspects have been investigated over the years, most famously Arthur Lee Allen, but no definitive evidence ever linked him or anyone else to the crimes. The Zodiac Killer's identity remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in American criminal history. He created a persona, played a game with law enforcement, and then vanished, leaving a legacy of fear and unanswered questions. Another haunting case takes us to Springfield, Missouri. On the morning of June 7, 1992, 3 women vanished without a trace. Cheryl Levitt, her daughter, Susie Streeter, and Susie's friend, Stacy McCall. who were celebrating their high school graduation, became known as the Springfield Three. The morning after they were last seen, friends arrived at the Levitt home to find the front door unlocked. The television was on, and the women's purses, keys, and cars were all still at the house. The only thing out of place was a broken porch-light globe. There were no signs of a struggle, no ransom note, and no clear evidence of what happened. It was as if they had simply been erased from existence. The investigation turned up few leads. Police received thousands of tips, but none led to a breakthrough. One theory involved a man who was later convicted of kidnapping, but he denied any involvement and passed a polygraph test regarding the case. Another lead pointed to a potential connection with a local drug ring. Years later, a witness claimed he knew the women were buried on a farm, but extensive searches of the property yielded nothing. The disappearance of the Springfield Three is a chilling reminder of how quickly lives can be appended. With no bodies ever found and no suspects ever charged, the families of Cheryl, Susie, and Stacy have been left in a painful state of limbo for over 3 decades, holding on to hope while grappling with the terrifying uncertainty of their loved one's fate. Finally, we look at a case that continues to baffle investigators and armchair detectives alike: the unsolved murders in Colonial Parkway, Virginia. Between 1986 and 1989, 4 double homicides occurred along this scenic and historic roadway. 8 people lost their lives, and the crimes shared some disturbing similarities, yet also puzzling differences. The first victims, Kathleen Thomas and Rebecca Dusky, were found in their car, which had been pushed down an embankment. Their throats had been slit. A year later, David Nobling and Robin Edwards were found shot on the banks of a river. The following year, 2 more victims were found in a rest area, and the final pair, Daniel Lauer and Anna Maria Phelps, disappeared from a different rest area. Their car was found, but their bodies weren't discovered until weeks later in the woods. The cases were investigated by the FBI, as they occurred on federal land. Was this the work of a single serial killer stalking the Parkway, or was it a series of unrelated, tragic coincidences? Some investigators believe a rogue law enforcement officer could be responsible. As some evidence suggested, the victims may have been pulled over before they were killed. However, the varying methods of murder, strangulation, shooting, stabbing, have made it difficult to definitively link all the cases. To this day, no one has been arrested, and the Colonial Parkway murders remain a dark chapter in Virginia's history, a stark warning that evil can lurk in the most beautiful of places. From the Black Dahlia to the Colonial Parkway, these cases represent just a fraction of the unsolved murders that linger in the American consciousness. They are more than just cold case files. They are stories of lives cut short, families torn apart, and justice that remains tantalizingly out of reach. For the detectives, historians, and loved ones left behind, the search for answers never truly ends. Each advance in forensic technology brings a glimmer of hope that one day the truth will finally be revealed, and these lingering ghosts can finally find peace. What are your theories on these cases? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you found this exploration into the unknown compelling, please like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into history's greatest mysteries.